This is a list of things I like and don't like about my Avin Avant 2 Universal 7-inch double-din Android car stereo. Number one on the list, likes, is it switches over to the backup camera very fast. Of course, instantly if it's already booted up, but even if you just turn the ignition on and it's doing a cold boot, or it has to load the operating system, it still comes up very fast. So I'm going to hit the button where I can switch to my backup camera instead of having to put it in reverse. I can look through the backup camera while I'm driving. And I'm going to turn the ignition on. Okay, so the radio just turned on. And there it goes. Maybe 2 seconds. And it's still booting up. So when you're done backing up, it's still loading the Android operating system. Faster so than my last traditional Kenwood car stereo that would take maybe at least, I don't know, 6 to 8 seconds maybe before the backup camera was viewable. What you saw there a few seconds ago was the standard home screen that comes with a radio, and then I use the app Llama, Llama, to take me to Cardastroid, which is this nice interface, makes it real easy for driving. Nice large buttons. Okay, on to more things I like. Fast Wi-Fi acquisition. I'll pull up into the garage, and by the time I turn the ignition off, so maybe I've had my truck all the way in the garage for all of 10 seconds, it has connected to Wi-Fi. This is actually faster than my phone. My phone often takes longer than that to connect to the Wi-Fi. So that is nice. Another thing I like about the Avin is how quickly you can play music off a memory card. In this case, the Universal doesn't take a micro SD card. It has 2 USB inputs. So I have a 64 gigabyte thumb drive plugged in. And it probably depends on what music player app you're using. I use Power Amp, but with Power Amp, the Avin works awesome. As soon as Android is finished booting up, I can run Power Amp, and my entire library, about 30 gigabytes of music, is ready to play. There's no waiting for scanning or anything like that. I'll run Power Amp. And of course, the radio's been up for a while now, but if you can run Power Amp, it's ready to go. It does a great job. Looks nice. It's nice for the car. You can swipe for the next song if you want to easily. And the only time it really scans is when you first tell Power Amp where your music is. You go into settings. You tell it where your folder or folders are. And I think for my 30 gigabytes, it might have taken 2-3 minutes to scan it. But after that initial time, it is ready to roll. As soon as Power Amp comes up, then you can immediately start playing your music, and your whole music library is ready to go. Another thing I like about the Avin is the extremely fast GPS acquisition. It is probably almost as fast as my phone, which has cellular data, which makes it a lot easier for it to get an idea of where it is using the cell tower location and all that stuff. A lot of other devices I have that have GPS, ham radio, radar detector, those can take several minutes to get a lock. The Avin, I've never tried to see how fast it can do it, but when I leave work, sometimes I'll pull up Google Maps, block and a half away, minute and a half, and it already has a lock. Now we can go into, so there's the stock launcher that I don't normally use. And we'll go over to GPS status app. There it is. Okay, right now I have 6 of 13 satellites. I often, sitting here inside the garage, it's a little cloudy out today, so that could maybe affect it a little bit. I normally have 11 of 13 satellites here in the garage, but never a problem with GPS getting a lock. It works really well. My antenna is a pretty good location. So the Avin comes with a external powered GPS antenna. So rather than sitting up on top of the dash, I simply ran it up so it sits, let me tilt the camera back a little bit, just up above my vents, behind the dash, but on, let's call it a plastic air box. I double-sided taped it to the top of the air box. So it's sitting about 1 inch below my dash, but my dash is made out of plastic, and so it should have a pretty good view of the sky halfway back in the dash, no metal really right above it. So that works very well. Another thing I like about the Avin is the great customer service. Tommy at Avin is very responsive to emails. He knows what he's doing. So you're not emailing some customer service that has no idea about the product. I believe he does the ROMs for the radio, so he's very familiar with all the features and options. And last on the like list is very smooth video playback. So there's plenty of processing power. It may not be quad core, but the dual core works just fine. I use MX Player. So that was a shortcut I made with ES Explorer. So, new girl.
What the hell is around your neck?
It's a crystal charm, man. Yeah, the guys at work gave
Nice and smooth, never see any delay or lag. Usual MX Player. Usual MX Player stuff. You can just kind of slide across for a fast search. Works very well. Number 1 is Wi-Fi reception. That is a common theme if you do a little research and look around on the internet. Does not have very sensitive Wi-Fi receiver. Of course, then again, the receiver is in a metal box, which is inside another metal box, basically your car. But still, my cell phone sitting on the seat next to me, it gets decent to good Wi-Fi reception in my truck. But the Avin was not reliable. You start downloading an app, and then it would hang, and just wasn't reliable enough to download things. So to get around that, I already have a network switch in my garage. So I just added a portable router Wi-Fi hotspot that's sitting probably about 12 feet away from me now, up high in the garage. One spot for improvement is the radio. Yeah. So I heard or read maybe 2 or 3 other people complain about the sensitivity of a radio. And I do notice it isn't as sensitive as my previous radios. It is not what I'd call bad, but it is noticeably less sensitive if your station, before this station might fade in and out as I'm driving to work, a couple spots, a little static. Well, maybe it has maybe twice as many spots where it fades in and out, has more static in general. So I do see it. It's not a big deal, depending on how much you use your radio, or if all your stations are on the edge of reception, that would be a problem. Okay, another dislike would be noise static. Now, at first, I thought the background static was fairly loud, but of course my previous radio, I had adjusted my amplifiers so they were appropriate for that radio. The Avin seems to have a hotter or higher output voltage on the RCAs, so I was able to turn the gain down on the audio amplifiers. And so the 4 speakers, I no longer hear a hiss from the speakers. So that not a fault of the Avin. What I do still hear is, it's not that realistic, because it's only if the car's off, so there's no motor noise, I'm not listening to anything. Out of the subwoofer, I can hear, it's not a hiss, it's kind of like a ticking noise. A slight ticking, clunking, very slight, but it is there. Next, the screen overall is nice, but when you're driving around and it's sunny out, it can get washed out. It can be a little hard to see. Like any cell phone, looks very bright at nighttime or inside, but it doesn't really pop when you're driving around out in sunlight. It's decent, but you can always have it brighter. Another slight negative is, since I am using external amplifiers and not the built-in amps, it only has one pair of RCA audio outputs, one left, one right. So basically you don't have a fader, since there's no rear left and right. Not a big deal, but a slight negative. I occasionally might fade. Okay, what actually was a dislike, and now is a okay, was I would run into a problem where if I was trying to install an app or even update an app, and I had what I thought was fairly minimal set of apps. And you can see pretty much everything, almost everything that I installed is right here on these 2 pages. Not a whole lot. And I would get a insufficient memory error when I would try to download another app or update, larger apps, say like Google Maps. Just run out of memory. The partition was small. In fact, I'll take you settings, storage. Okay, so internal cache. Before, total space was roughly 700 megabytes. And by the time you had the pre-installed apps and a few apps you wanted to load, I might only have 100, 200 megabytes left. And I was getting those insufficient memory errors. So I am running a beta version from Tommy right now. I'll put the revision in the description. One of the biggest improvements in this beta that I saw was he doubled the internal cache. So now the total space is about 1.3 gigabytes, and I only have about 428 megabytes used. Available is 600 megabytes. So now what I have available is almost the total space that it had on the last software version. And yeah, even though I might have had 4 gigabytes total space available, that internal cache partition was just set, in my opinion, too small, and it got the insufficient errors. But with a new partition, I don't have those problems. So not really a negative anymore. This is on a beta.